Would you care to test me? Then, what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Engarde, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. That's the third set of glasses she has gone through so far. Hook your laptop up to a stereo system or something. Just pump the sound up because this music is awesome. Then what? What about the button that was found in Magatama? The button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Engarde was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such an incriminating piece of evidence on his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. Engarde's Hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the scene. Now, who could have known that there was a costume inside of that guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found in the guitar case. It was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found that she had touched the case, they would have to ask her why. To avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of the tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Matt Engarde. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. I'm actually thinking of hoping to like set up a bunch of renders tomorrow while I'm cleaning the apartment here. So I will probably also set up some uploads because I have some ready to go in the pipe.
Now hurry up with the case.
By allowing the witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think of to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Engarde's room. Agent Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Mr. Andrews not to testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up until this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What's so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up until this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to prove a single piece of definitive proof. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But, Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Andrews has refused to testify. And the defense theory is that she is actually the murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. A recess? I request that both the defense and the prosecution look into this matter further. At tomorrow's trial. Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you? It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation was something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but actually there is one little thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help but to think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up, not stirring up a glass of juice. So, my actions were unusual, but already, before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the witness' body. Whatever testimony we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what's about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read of him. Is he a friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrew, if you please. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Joan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized he was dead, that's when I locked the flower vase over. So, you poured the glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think you needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find something wrong with this testimony, there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what in the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. So, if she just discovered the body, like, she would have to, you know, there's a knife sticking out of his chest, so let's just see crime scene photo. There we go. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking out of Mr. Corrido's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that he was a dead man. Well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would make mistake this for someone who had fainted. And then so nonchalantly pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all just one giant lie. That's the 6th pair of glasses, I think? And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. No! It looks like the defense has brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Engarde, is not guilty after all. That's impossible. You are wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who's killed Joan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Engarde's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Hey, is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Engarde. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to hand down a verdict at this time. Oh, what? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you? Witness? Don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Engarde will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke they would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak of it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Engarde will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across something like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the real killer, right? All we have to do now is get her not guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Joanne. Help. Please, someone. Help me.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime.
Who is the real mastermind?
Isn't it obvious?
There's no one else that could have done it except for this crying woman over there, right?
Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
So I'm gonna actually ask you all, which one do you want me to do? What kind of man is Phoenix Wright? Is he focused on getting the not guilty and getting, like, freeing Maya, or is he focused on the truth and figuring out what it is?
Force Andrew to testify.
Huh?
Force Andrew to testify.
So we have one force to testify here. Actually, don't I have a bot for this? No, I don't think.
There's enough people that says truth.
We go for the truth. Okay, let's force Andrew to testify.
Yes,
I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not sure why she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you're really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure. Mr. Engarde would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense theory is the truth.
You're wrong.
What a shame. I had hoped that things wouldn't come to this, however. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court.
Stop!
Mr. Edgeworth! This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness.
What?
And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past.
Stop! Please stop!
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have evidence right here.
Ah, that's
the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world.
Please stop, I beg you! If people find out, I'll...
If you're going to say you choose death, then that is no concern of mine. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell you the court yourself, or shall I? Either way is fine with me.
I'll talk, but please help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hall, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed John's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returned to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using Nickel's samurai costume.
Stab the body with a knife? But why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person.
A certain cowardly man? What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... This is the truth.
The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I will never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again. Just like last time.
Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Joan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Engarde for the murder. And this is her crime.
What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination.
But you could tell from the state the room was in, there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but the scarf is part of the Jamin Ninja costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face all that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. What's this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because Juan, he was going to expose Matt's weakest point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's what I thought. I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was the planted knife. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used as dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife and returned to the scene of the crime. So you were the one to stab the victim with a knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did! But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Joan's dead body, I just suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, then I could make Matt look even more suspect. So, you thought to rip one of the buttons off and plant it in Mr. Engarde's Magatama? Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? An inconvenience? And there was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spy that was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. Had already been caught and made it a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once. So I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared the costume, weren't you? Yes. I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Joan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes. Joan wanted to wear the costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is the secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Joan's room in the nickel samurai costume, then people would certainly think that Matt was a real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've had enough. So, after that, you went back to Mr. Engarde's room and planted the button. Into Magatama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then, I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word! What does this all mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal? It's Matt Engarde! Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said I should say that I should under no circumstances confess to what I've done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What
this witness has done is clearly unlawful, however, as long as her testimony